Skills and tools for the new world order is the theme of this current session. We have with us today two special guests for the session. They are Mr. Lasmin Yang and Mr. Rajen Jaswa from University of California, Santa Cruz. Before I hand over the session to our esteemed speaker, it's my pleasure to give their brief introduction. Mr. Yang is currently Director of International Programs and Workforce Development at UCSC Silicon Valley Extension in Santa Clara, California. In his role, he helps develop innovative international and domestic programs while managing a team of university personnel, helping students meet their academic and personal goals. He is also a doctoral candidate at the University of Liverpool. Mr. Jaswa is an accomplished serial technology entrepreneur. He teaches engineering entrepreneurship at IIT Bombay and IIT Nagpur, Gandhinagar, VNIT Nagpur, and TIE Silicon Valley. Previously, he served as a CEO and chairman of Dino and as co-founder, CEO, and chairman of Selectica, company that became listed as a Fortune 500 company during his tenure. Earlier in his career, he co founded Opti, where he worked as a head of sales and marketing as well as president. He also worked for Intel, GE, and Chips and Technologies. In the midst of his career, he opted to volunteer full time for TIE Silicon Valley, serving as director, then president, and trustee of the world's largest non-profit dedicated to helping entrepreneurs. With a brief introduction of our esteemed panel, may I request Mr. Yang to kindly address the audience.
Hello.
I believe Mr. Yang is joining in a while, so meanwhile, I'll request Mr. Jaswa to please carry on with his address.
Okay, great. Mr. Laljim Yang will be covering, the partnership between AIMA and UC Santa Cruz. And I'm a professor at UC Santa Cruz also, and along with some of the other universities that were just described. So this is my latest incarnation, about 7 years, where I reincarnated from being a serial entrepreneur for 25 years, taking two companies from startup to IPO and running them as public companies with a $400 million valuation and $5 billion valuation, global companies. Started from scratch, 2 people, building all the different departments and everything else. And and then over the last 7 years, I reincarnated as a professor to teach some of the skills of company building to the next generation of entrepreneurs. And I'm so happy with the hundreds, I would think, of entrepreneurs that have emerged from the 1-year program that I teach in entrepreneurship. Probably I've taught it to more than 3,500 people to date. Okay, so with that introduction, let me share some slides. Do you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, I'll go full screen. Okay, so you see the first slide, right?
Perfect. Yeah, it is perfect.
Okay,
yes.
Awesome. Okay, so we are going to talk about skills and tools for the new emerging world. Clearly, this needs to be a semester-long program, but we are going to basically try and give you an understanding and a framework for understanding what kinds of skills and tools you need to have in your arsenal in order to continue to grow your companies. So basically, when I received this topic from AIMA, I said, what a brilliant choice of theme. Congratulations to the AIMA conference organizers for thinking about the fact that there is something uh, disruptive that has happened in the world in 2020. 2020 was indeed the most brutal and disruptive year for economies and businesses worldwide. Nobody was spared. But it would have been much worse if technology had not come to the rescue. And what we are doing right now, this virtual conference, is an example of technology coming to the rescue of keeping us all connected and sharing our ideas and our knowledge and our information with each other. Uh, and guess what? Stodgy old businesses, bureaucratic organizations, I even consider IIT, my alma mater, uh, basically a bureaucratic organization. But even these IITs have learned to embrace the new technologies and business processes such as distance learning, work from home, outsourcing, globalization, leveraging social media platforms. Uh, and these are all legitimate for all kinds of organizations worldwide. And most of the businesses, as a consequence, have not only have survived the pandemic, and but the companies that actually drove these new technologies that everybody started using have thrived. Because of the pandemic, they've grown exponentially, and the market capitalization is just mind-blowingly grown explosively, right? Now, the question is, we've got these new vaccines, and it appears that we are we country after country is now beginning to go back to normal. Even California, which was probably the worst hit of all places in the world, and the question is, how should managers look at this? In my belief, companies that bet on building on the revolutionary changes that happen to age-old practices of how you work, how you connect with customers, partners, how you do transactions. Companies that bet on building on the revolutionary changes of 2020 are going to be the leaders of the next decade. The 4 courses that AIMA UCSC partnership is planning to offer are aimed at helping companies thrive in this emerging new world. But the first thing to understand, and actually understand it at the gut level so that you completely embrace it, is to understand what is the premise on which this emerging new world order is going to be built. Generally, all of us, after doing business for 20, 30 years, we've seen everything, we have done everything. You know, Nothing is going to surprise us, and we continue with our habitual patterns. And now 2020 showed that we had to accept and handle this disruptive pandemic, and in order to succeed in the future, essentially you have to embrace at the gut level the fundamental premises or the fundamental factors on which this new emerging world is going to be based. What is the platform? So the future is faster than you think, is something that Peter Diamandis, he's a futurist. He's thinks 10 years, 20 years ahead for all of us. And he's written this book, and this is the title of his book. And the message is that Converging technologies are allowing businesses to accelerate, thrive, and advance. We saw that happen in 2020 by bringing in the Zoom technologies, the WhatsApp, the social media, the different platforms. The convergence of all these technologies has enabled our businesses to handle this disruptive pandemic, but also to accelerate, thrive, and advance. So, and there is a reason why the future is faster than we can think, because we all think linearly. Everything that we think is linear in our thinking. The technologies driving the future are inherently exponential. They double on a periodic basis. In a linear growth, a linear change environment, you grow by 5%, 10%, 20%, 30% year over year. In an exponential business, you double on a periodic basis, and that's what creates exponentiality. And the technologies on which the future is going to be built is inherently exponential, and that's something that is non-intuitive, something that managers or human beings in general are accustomed to understand. So what is driving this exponential technology? It is actually as simple as the fact that with Gordon Moore's law, semiconductors double in capacity every 18 to 24 months, and you get twice the performance every 2 years, right? So faster, cheaper computing power, and this has held for the last 50 years. It's not going to get off the treadmill of doubling performance for the same cost every 2 years. Now, when you have a driver like that, computing power that doubles every 2 years for the same price, guess what? It starts changing and impacting all kinds of different technologies. Even they start becoming better. So sensors have become smaller, faster, cheaper. Networks have become bigger, connect more people, work faster, etc. AI, suddenly computers can start doing logic, thinking, analysis, pattern recognition, visualization, etc. Robots can do a lot of things that you never thought robots could do. 3D printing. Did anybody think that a rocket ship to Mars could be 3D printed? So the competitor for SpaceX, which is Elon Musk's space rocket, is another company that is 3D printing a rocket in order to go to Mars. So virtual reality and augmented reality, synthetic biology, blockchain, cryptocurrency, all of these are exponential technologies driven by fundamentally the faster, cheaper computing power that is growing exponentially. It has been doing this for 50 years, every 2 years, twice as fast, and it'll continue on, right? So now the question is that I just listed 8 different exponential technologies, but guess what? There's another 8 that are going to be hitting us in the next 3 years. Another 8 that will hit us in the next 5 years. Another 8 that will hit us the following decade. The number of new exponential technologies based on faster, cheaper computing power is not going to stop. And all of this reinvents every business model and the ecosystem in which economies run and companies run, right? So this is fundamentally something that managers have to get their arms around, right? That the world is based on this. So, how do managers have to think about incorporating these exponential technologies into their business? So, the 6 Ds is what I find beautifully developed by Peter Diamandis about how to think of what you are going to do in your company that would give it exponentiality. And so the 6 Ds are digitization. A lot of people understand that. Deceptive, few people understand that. Disruptive, people are beginning to understand, dematerialization, and I'm going to spend a few minutes on that, is something that is fundamental for you to understand so that you can bring dematerialization into your company, into your business processes, into the way things are done. Demonetization, very, very important concept, which is the fact that money itself is now being moving to a technology platform with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum and on and on and on. There's about 10,000 different cryptocurrencies. But demonetization is not just cryptocurrency. It's what it does. It enables you to charge money for things that you never thought were chargeable. So, for example, everybody thought that the minute you digitize something and people start sharing it on WhatsApp or sharing it on Facebook, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa becomes free because you can get the highest resolution picture. You can make it your screensaver. So for free. So, and yet, because of blockchain and cryptocurrency, now you can basically lock a digital media product with the blockchain identifier, which makes it something that can now be owned, right? So all of a sudden, some of you, I'm sure, saw that this is less than a 1-year phenomena. And a digital painting that was developed last month was auctioned off by Christie in UK for $60 million, paid in Ethereum cryptocurrency, which is, by the way, a very real, can be converted into rupees, dollars, pounds, whatever you want. So this demonetization is something that every company needs to understand. And democratization, fact that, the villager in India is using Netflix. I mean, can you imagine that? Villager in India is using Netflix and enjoying movies and songs and is also getting educated on a smartphone. So democratization is creating the kind of scale that cannot be, that is unbelievable. So these are the 60 exponential frameworks. So as you think of the business processes, etc., that you're going to put on the exponential framework, these are the Ds that you have to incorporate into your solution. Now, a lot of people think, and a lot of companies that are involved are, involved in real things, right? And, when I was in India 40 years ago, water was short in Mumbai. It's still short in Mumbai. definitely energy was short in India, electricity was limited, etc., etc. I mean, information was not easily accessible. Guess what? Because of exponential technologies, all these scarcities are becoming abundances, right? So, um, there was a time when my mother used to switch off the electric light as soon as we are not using that particular room. And now with LED lighting, who cares? It's better to have a lighted room, even if nobody's in there, right? So, uh, and because the amount of power consumption is dropped by a factor of 10 or 100 from incandescent to LED, and all of a sudden, India, that was using up 20% of all its power in incandescent bulbs, is now on LED, and the minute they connect a solar cell to it, it becomes free. So imagine energy that is free. And who thought? Like, so the world's biggest problems are the world's biggest opportunities. So let's take this framework that we have done and apply it to the day-to-day businesses that we're doing. So the skills and the tools that you need to develop is to have your organization accomplish the automation of the routine and humanizing the exceptional in your company. So let's understand that a little bit, because I'm giving you the answer to what mindset, not only you, but every employee, every manager, every leader needs to have in their genes or in their DNA, which is, how do I automate the routine? How do I humanize the exceptional? So let's understand that a little bit. Automating the routine, we all know that, accounting has been automated. Many aspects of accounting is automated. None of us use Xeroxing anymore. None of us use we have all digitized our documents. So we have automated lots of routine. But on the other hand, there is so many things that your company is bogged down in just doing the routine things with people and with bureaucratic processes. So you have to think and get the department managers and get the employees to think of how to automate the very thing that they are spending time on, if it is a repetitive routine thing, right? So you use one or more of the 6Ds in order to automate the routine. The more interesting one is, what is this humanize the exceptional? So I'll first give a basic example, which is video conferencing. Typically used to need some IT people. It needs to set up the network. You needed all kinds of training. You needed a video producer. You needed so many things. And video conferencing was this big undertaking. And then Zoom comes along, and the manager said, video conferencing needs to become so easy that it's intuitive, right? So for me to sign on and give this pitch all the way from California was 2 clicks or 1 click. In fact, it was 1 click. I clicked on the Zoom link that I received from Neeraj, and boom, I'm there. So they have humanized video conferencing, right? So, and you can see the great value that it's provided to all of humanity. So, of course, and it's made billions of dollars for the founder who came up with this, with the ways to humanize video conferencing. Now, obviously, this is something that, and we've seen also the same thing for chat, right? WhatsApp, once it became so easy to use that everybody could use it, it just exploded in the benefits that it provided anybody and everybody. So now, well, how do you apply this humanize the exceptional in your company? So I was thinking about it and I said, you know, in all the companies that I've run, in every department, somebody or the other does something exceptional. For example, my salesperson, one salesperson will suddenly do something that is exceptional that results in business orders coming in like clockwork and big companies wanting to use a product, etc. And that exceptional salesman, you have to think of how to take his ability to do it and make it something that the rest of the salespeople embrace, right? So and so you humanize the exceptional and you replicate something as difficult as sales, exceptional sales capability, and make it a capability that is inherent among all your salespeople. Which company can beat you if all your salespeople are as good as the exceptional sales guy? And talk about your product development or customer service. You know, one particular customer service person seems to be able to have very happy customers. Well, you recognize the exceptional behavior, now figure out how to make it universally embraced in your company. And so you humanize the exceptional, and that is going to unleash the exponential capabilities for your companies to grow. How much time do we have? Sorry, I lost.
You have about 15 more minutes.
How much? 15 more minutes?
15 minutes.
Laljim, are you there? Lajlim, are you there?
No, he hasn't joined yet.
Oh, you know, I think he got the timing wrong. Okay. Okay. So we got 15 minutes. Awesome. Okay.
Yes.
So I got all this time. But so in a sense, like, you know, the way I look at it is you have to take this statement and go ahead and see to it that everybody from the CEO of the company all the way down to employees, they understand that their mission in their company, whether it's they are workers on the production line or whether they are customer service people or whether they're salespeople or accounting people, their job is not to only do the task that they've been given, but their job is to go ahead and understand how their mission of automating how they fit into the mission of automating the routine and humanizing the exception. Because one of the things that I have learned through all the companies that I've formed is that unless you have all parts of all the players in your company buy into the vision and the company is going to be hamstrung, right? So this mission is what is going to be needed in order to succeed in the new world order. You know, the one phrase that keeps coming to my mind about, you know, the challenge that big companies and existing businesses are going to face is that you can run, but there is nowhere to hide. And the reason is that now your employees, your customers, your vendors, your partners, competitors, all of them have experience. In fact, in their pocket, they have the smartphone, which is probably one of the best examples of converging technologies. And these people are not going to go back to the traditional bureaucratic ways of doing business. The skills of all employees and business processes of every department is going to have to be rethought and re-engineered to prosper in this new world order. And AIMA and UCSC would be delighted to be a partner in this exciting journey. So with that, I'm going to stop my presentation, see if there are any questions. And if not, I will go ahead and give a little bit of understanding of UC Santa Cruz and AIMA partnership. Are there any questions?
Few queries. Yeah, there are few questions posted by our audience. I'm combining 2-3 for you. One says, why is technology growing exponentially? The second one says, is human progress exponential? And there's also a question which says, what is the one most important skill required for the new world? Would you like to answer, please?
Okay, so I'll answer the first one, and then you remind me of the second question. one question at a time.
Sure.
Okay, so the question is like, is what is really driving these exponential technology? And that is this one, the driver, the petrol driving, or the electric power driving all the exponential technologies is faster, cheaper computing power, because computing power is framework. So computing power, whether it is on move to quantum states and so on, but computing power doubles every 2 years for the same cost. And this has been going on for 50 years, and the cost of and the capability of computing power has gone to such a level that all kinds of additional technologies, all which are based on computing power, also automatically get the exponentiality in their functionality, right? So AI is becoming smarter. Every 2 years, it's twice as smart. Robotics, every 2 years, twice more capable. 3D printing, every 2 years, you can do higher resolution designs. Same thing with AR, virtual reality and augmented reality. I recently got this Oculus AR VR device because I'm teaching exponentiality, and I'm teaching all these things, and there was no augmented reality and virtual reality and 3D reality when I was growing up, or even when I was working. All of this is in the last 5 years. And but for this point onwards, if you do not incorporate AR, VR at the right places in your company, you're going to look like an obsolete traditional company that is a dinosaur, right? So right now, we are doing the Zoom conference, with a basic video camera, and you're just seeing a flat picture of me. Imagine if I was communicating with you in AR, VR world. There is absolutely no reason why in 3 years we won't be communicating as real people with expressions and faces and feelings and everything, and actually interacting with each other in a Zoom or Microsoft Teams AR, VR world. Okay, question number 2.
This says, is human progress also exponential?
Okay, so very, very good question, which is that, aren't human beings the same? We've got the same number of neurons and same number of muscles and everything. I don't think our amount of food or calories we consume has grown exponentially. It might have grown linearly because we're twice as fat these days compared to the caveman, and we've probably grown by 50% compared to the caveman over 2,000 years. But you're right. On the face of it, it appears that human beings are not exponential. But on the other hand, what these technologies do is that they extend the human capability. So, the way I look at it is with this mind that we've got and our ability to leverage these exponential technologies, we can be getting smarter in an exponential way. So those of us that and why those of us? I think every person, when they start using a smartphone 5 years from now, which will have a lot of AI into it, is going to be much smarter. For example, I have a iPhone, and for some reason my photographs quality has increased tenfold when I take photos with this iPhone. And I don't think I became a photographer that was 10 times better. The reason is that it's got AI, and every photograph a picture that the iPhone takes, they actually take 9 pictures at different lighting and exposure situations, and then use AI to stitch together the perfect photo, or the best photo that human beings would like. And all of a sudden you can see that AI has made my photography skills exponentially better. Probably I could have never been such a great photographer, but now if you look at my photos, I take amazing photos. But not only me, every other human being is also taking beautifully photos. So the technologies actually make human experience and human life exponentially better. Right now, I think the hard thing is, can we be exponentially happier? Happiness, unfortunately, doesn't have anything to do with exponential capability, right? In fact, a lot of the smartest and sharpest people are the most unhappy people in the world. So I think happiness is the one thing that is not somehow or the other connected with exponential technology. But in terms of capability, in terms of doing business, in terms of being productive, in terms of education, etc., there's no question everything is going to be improving at an exponential rate. Good question. Next one.
This will be the last for you, Mr. Jaswa. You have counseled and guided many students, professionals, and entrepreneurs globally. So, according to you, which are the other skills which go hand in hand along with the technology skills?
Very, very good question, which is that, some of the things that I actually teach is not just entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship without life skills, I said you're going to be unhappy, but also you're going to be unsuccessful. So entrepreneurship with skills and technology skills without life skills leads to an unhappy, unsuccessful person. And so what are these life skills that I teach? Because so the life skills that I teach are EQ, emotional intelligence. How do you develop EQs? Because ultimately business has to be done by people connecting with other people. And so that is not changing. So we might connect in different ways, but still the EQ, the emotional part of connection, which is what is going to give you the trust factor to do business, is not going to change. So the EQ part is something that I teach about how to connect with human beings so that they trust you is very fundamental, is a fundamental life skill. And then the other ones that are important are things like negotiations. Negotiations require empathy, require ability to come up with win-win solutions. Business requires win-win solutions. There is no such thing as I win, you lose kind of a business negotiation. So, so all these life skills that I teach, how to do customer care, how to resolve legal problems, how to manage people above you and below you, how to if you're a CEO or a founder, how to manage your board, if you how to manage your employees, how to create a culture of happiness. So life skills combined with awareness and capability to harness exponentially exploding technologies and continuously evolving technologies is what ultimately results in successful business leaders in the coming new world.
Thanks a lot. A big thanks to you, Mr. Jaswa. Thank you so much for joining us today and for the enlightening session, which I'm sure all our participants would have greatly benefited from. Once again, a big thanks from all of us here to you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. I'm delighted with this opportunity. Goodbye.